have enough soda.
You're good, dude.
I'm
You're gonna have
almost
to
out.
pee. Like, chill. You drank beer. You like, fuck. Until we get this stuff posted out. Because it gives people time to come in. Yeah, we were just talking about that on the way here. Well, we got a week first, then. Well, yeah, because he'll ask me, so like, boom, we're gonna hop in and do weekend winners. What you got? Yeah, Lip always opens it, then I'll come in first with whatever I want to say. Yeah. Let us know when. Just let us know when you cut to where you can hear only our audio.
Am I good on the video and stuff? I wish you were using mic
Oh yeah.
real bad to be able to do stuff a lot quicker.
Like point at us when we're
Three,
when they see us.
like 3, 2. We'll open it. Off we go.
Good to go.
Here we are.
Helmets and headbands. The return.
Feels good to be back.
It does, dude. Episode 15. Quick shout out to our executive producer, Kid Cosmaker, for hooking us up with all the new equipment to
Yeah,
get
I'll
us
say
rolling.
as you can see, we have a new set, new microphones. We got a lot of cool stuff coming. So
Yep.
let's blast off.
Yeah, here we go. We're going to kick it off with a new segment, Weekend Winners. It doesn't have to be particular to any sport. It is just weekend winners in any way, any shape or form that you can define it.
Correct.
So who do you got?
Okay, so a cool weekend for golf, in my opinion. Obviously, Tiger Woods' return has been, highly media. Like, the media is crazy around
Yep.
Tiger Woods. Anytime Tiger does anything, he has a surgery, he does this, his mugshot of him when he got picked up for being drunk and all that stuff leading up to. So it's his first tournament of the year. Just comes out, expectations for what he was going to do are kind of always, a little bit tempered only because of the injuries he's had, how long of a layoff he's had, socially, the things he's gone through, stuff like that. But what's awesome is Tiger Woods comes into this tournament and has glimpses, just glimpses, like of the old Tiger.
Yeah, he really did.
I'm not, my expectations still are tempered though, because there are good things to be seen. He finished at 8 under, which is phenomenal for him. He was in the race coming down there through Saturday. Sunday, he had a few double bogeys coming in. He bogeyed the last 2 holes, but I think as far as what he wanted and what sort of his coaches and just everything, that's best case scenario is what I thought.
Oh yeah, I agree too. He did have glimpses of himself. I didn't watch the tournament. I saw highlights and stuff. It was awesome to see him hitting shots like he used to.
He has that. It just almost seems like he has that swagger back.
Yep. He dominated the game for so long, for so many years, and to see him back out there hitting some of the shots that he was used to hitting them.
Yeah.
You could tell he was having fun.
He had that sort of fire in his gut. He was willing some of the putts in. That's the only thing. And if anybody plays the game of golf, you understand that a round can turn very quickly, and especially for a guy like Tiger who's had the injury problems he's had. But I mean, coming into this tournament, he was up in the leaderboards the first couple of days. Starts to bogey a few holes here and there. But I think as far as he definitely won the weekend, in my opinion. I think it's great for golf. It's great for sports. It's great for people like us who do this. He's fun to talk about. You either love him or you hate him. But I guarantee if he's even within contention in a major anytime soon, I mean, that's a giant, giant opportunity for golf, for sports in general. So love to see Tiger back. Love to see him back.
Yep.
Who do you got for your weekend winner, Lip?
Again, I'm not the biggest college football fan. I watch the bowl games and when it comes down to playoff time, but I don't follow it as much as I should probably. But I went with Clemson. I watched that game hanging out last weekend, and I mean, Clemson as a whole is just, they showed why they're the number 1 ranked team in the country, and their defense was so overwhelming,
dominant.
The offense, which has been well hidden of a not very strong quarterback for Miami, they do quick slants and small little pass plays to get him by and to kind of hide him, which they did most of the year very well, but Clemson didn't allow them to do anything.
3 points.
And it was kind of it was very dominant on Clemson's part. It was kind of sad to see the way Miami went down after the season they had, because nobody thought that they would be playing the way that they
had
were.
reached after they beat Notre Dame.
Oh,
I mean, it's good for the University of Miami and their fans, and as me and you avid listeners of the Le Batard show, it's fun listening to them talk about Miami and listening to the hype that they had. But I think it just shows the separation that some of these big SEC schools and just dominant programs athletically have. I mean, granted, Miami is and was. It's a pretty big. I mean, it's a big school when it comes to sports.
Sure.
But when you see how dominant a team like Clemson has been the last couple of years, and the ability to maintain it, is that you can just tell that their defense has NFL players just all over.
Yeah.
You can just tell. You can see it by the eye.
Miami does too, but it seems like Clemson has a lot more, and they're a little more developed.
Yep.
But I mean, Dabo has done a good job with that team and the players he's recruited.
Dabs for Dabo.
Dabs for Dabo. He's done a good job recruiting players.
Absolutely.
And
he just seems like the players like the guy. He seems likable.
And
at least from the
a lot of people wondered how they would be losing Deshaun Watson and what their quarterback would look like and how the offense would play. Exactly.
Especially
and
as a big game.
They've had a good year,
Deshaun.
as you can see, defending champions, going into the playoffs, number 1 ranked.
It's that rematch against
Alabama.
Wait,
so is Alabama number 4?
Yeah.
So
Alabama,
they play right
Clemson.
off the bat.
Yeah.
Wow.
The third game of the saga.
Wow.
Should be fun.
That will be good. And that is why Ohio State got left out. For clear, the ratings on that game are going to be huge.
Gigantic.
And they are definitely – oh, man, that sucks for Ohio State fans, but it's good for the NCAA who's going to be making bank.
But, obviously there's a lot of talk on who should be in, who should be out. That's one reason why I don't necessarily follow college as much, because I feel like it just gets beat into the ground. well, this team strength of schedule is this, strength of schedule is that. Well, the eye test says this and that, and they lost to them, but they beat them. There's so many little intricate things that go into play where just at least from the way I look at like that sport, like clearly Alabama was the better team. I don't know if I don't know as far as schedule, people say they didn't have the hardest schedule. Yeah, I get it, but they're clearly the better team.
I saw
Nick Saban. They're better.
Yeah, definitely. I saw a tweet earlier today from Colin Cowherd, a segment of his show, and I didn't listen to it, but I saw the headline of it, and it said, "You can't lose to Iowa by 30."
Yeah.
And expect to be let in. Alabama's not losing to Iowa by 30. And
that's a huge loss.
That is a huge loss.
It's a huge loss.
To a team that's not normally up there.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you're talking about the wrestling program.
Yeah. And
shout out to Tanner and Ryan Warner.
But yeah, that's enough for college football because, again, I don't know.
Same here. Let's just move right into the NFL. We're going to go over the scores. Quickly here. The 49ers took the Bears out by 1 point, 15-14.
We'll get into the Bears
we'll talk to that
later. But
Titans took the Texans down 24-13, which
that's
we'll get into that game later. That is a big win, and I love it. Vikings over the Falcons 14-9.
Another great game.
Yeah.
It just shows Vikings, though. I mean,
they're a solid team. Zorb has got to be proud.
And the fact that you can put a guy in, you can plug in a guy like Case Keenum, who's kind of never been. I mean, he's obviously never been a dominant quarterback. He's kind of a journey guy who sits in the back and he does what he has to when your guy gets injured. But I mean, coming into this situation couldn't have been any better for at least him or any other quarterback because you see the receiver options he has, and then what's even more interesting about the team is how Dalvin Cook, dynamic runner. Clearly, you could tell he was one of the best rookie playmakers coming out of this year's draft, and they lose him for the season. You think, all right, how are they going to adjust? They got Case Keenum at quarterback. They lose their starting running back, and look where they're at now. They're absolute. You can tell that how important a team that has that dominant of a defense as well, and they're balanced on the offensive side of the ball. And Case Keenum's playing with confidence. I mean, they're
2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I like
25 for 30, 227 yards.
25 for 30. He missed
30. Matt Ryan, defending MVP, 16 for 29, 173 yards, 0 TDs, and that's
at home.
The Falcons have been struggling this year. They haven't been able to find a groove. Offensively,
it's that hangover. I guess it's the post Super Bowl loss hangover. I don't know.
I guess it's affecting them into this season, and you can I don't know if maybe they were that rattled having that big of a swing going into the end of that game last year. But
they only put up 9 points at home. I mean, granted, Minnesota
seriously.
You can tell is a great defense, but I mean to stall what like you said the MVP of the season last year to stall him and in his home. Field is.
You got me like no fantasy points
against me, even though you still have a chance.
Yeah. Well, I just don't want Log. I didn't want Log to beat me because I want that first round bye, and so does he.
Everybody's chasing that first round.
I know. I'm still sitting on pins and needles. It's coming down to tonight, but so then we got the Ravens taking down the Lions, 44-20.
With the Ravens' offense, like, where does that come from?
I don't know.
Their offense has been really stagnant, and all of a sudden, the resurrection of Joe Flacco.
Well, I mean, look at the Saints' defense.
Yeah.
They were nowhere, and now they're looking like a serious contender.
We'll talk about the Saints, too, in a little bit.
But the Patriots
I like the Saints.
Mauled the Bills, which, I mean, that's what happens. Packers still have playoffs hope, taking down the Bucks. Jags beat the Colts 30-10. Dolphins over the Broncos.
The Jags are going to be interesting too. I mean,
they worry me because they're in Titans division, and it sketches me out because we're both 8-4, but I think they got a tie.
It's weird to say because at least from the time that I've been following sports, and the Jaguars have kind of always been just the laughable team in Florida that nobody really pays attention to. They get high drafts.
Kid's shaking his head.
They get high draft picks, but they never seem to pan out. And now it's one of those things where they've built an extremely dominant defense. Again, it's just sort of like they're almost the Minnesota team, but just not quite as far along because Blake Bortles is one of those guys who's gonna throw two picks in the fourth quarter. He's gonna throw a pick.
Yeah, seriously.
I mean, they're definitely a team to watch out for. They're fun to watch. I like watching the Jags.
It's weird to see the Broncos get stomped.
Wow.
35-9. I understand they don't really have an offense right now.
They have fell off the face of the planet.
But their defense is just
where? Like it's so weird how quickly things can shift.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Won the title 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Off of that defense.
Off of the defense
that
itself,
defense won it for them. Jets beat the Chiefs 38-31. Chargers.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Jets and Chiefs because the way that the Chiefs came out in the season,
Alex Smith
just
dropping like 37 fantasy points,
crushing the Patriots on national television.
Yep,
came out. It's just an extremely dominant win.
I think they won the first 5 games. Maybe.
Yeah, Kareem Hunt just comes out as you're thinking this guy's the next Adrian Peterson.
Oh
running,
my
just
gosh.
steamrolling people, breaking tackles.
I was so jealous of Log when he played. Like
the
first opening week, 44 or 42 points. I was like, oh my!
And you think
gosh,
a rookie coming into his first game, and then the funny thing about it was, didn't he fumble one of his first carries?
Yeah,
his first carry, he fumbled his first NFL carry. Comes out and just
after not fumbling like forever,
and then his entire career. He just forgets about it and rolls the New England Patriots. So it's so weird to see how fast the Chiefs rose and now how far they've fallen.
Yeah,
I mean, losing 38-31 to the Jets, which Jets are another team where the Jets have come out of nowhere. At the beginning of the season, some people believed that the Jets wouldn't win a single game.
And they were talking about number 1 pick and like all
who
that
they were going
to
pick at number 1. They were going to have to pick one of these quarterbacks. And now Josh McCown comes in and just, like, what is he doing?
Destroys.
He's incredible. Or wait, no, not Josh McCown. Yeah.
It is McCown.
I was thinking of, But no.
Yeah,
so
he went
the Chiefs
26 for 36, 331 yards, 1 TD.
He does that.
Solid day.
Yeah, solid day. And against
Matt Forte, 15 carries, 58 yards. Not that good, but he had a lot of he still had good fantasy points.
Chiefs defense, though, that's kind of where to get 38 points put on you by the Jets is definitely something that needs to be.
Alex Smith had a good game.
Did you see Marcus Peters took the flag and tossed it into the crowd? So I don't know exactly what the flag was, but they threw maybe a defensive pass interference flag of some sort, and he takes the flag off the ground, chucks it into the crowd.
Did he get fined?
He got booted. He got kicked out of the game, of course.
Yep,
but it just shows the
dude. Alex Smith had a carry for 70 yards.
Yeah, I saw that too.
That's crazy.
I didn't actually see the
I didn't see
play,
it.
but
I
my goodness.
Just saw that.
So yeah, it's just crazy to see how far the Chiefs have fallen.
Chargers took down the Browns, which, I mean, last year the Browns had their only win off of the Chargers.
The Chargers are sneaky this year, man. Never sleep on Phil Rivers. That guy.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback.
He's always down in the fourth quarter with.
And he's bringing them.
3 minutes.
He's marching down that field. Panthers Saints 31-21, and that was a divisional game. It was a big game, and the Saints stepped up, dude.
I like the Saints this year.
I mean, the Panthers, another team that, like the Broncos, have fallen for the worst. I mean, they're not. I mean, they're
defensively,
they're inconsistent.
No, they only got 3 losses, which is one of them's to the Bears. But
who? They have 4
losses.
The Saints only have 3.
But no, so the Saints, the Saints go from being, like you said, their defense was just terrible. They were one of those defenses that, like, when your fantasy player was playing them, you're like, yes, I got New Orleans this week. They're gonna go off because their defense was just absolutely terrible. And now it flips around to where their defense is definitely a top tier defense now. And now that their offense, they got this 2-headed beast at running back. They got Drew Brees, who's obviously still Drew Brees, but he's not putting up necessarily the numbers because they're not having to throw the ball so much anymore because they're relying pretty heavily on Kamara and Ingram. Yeah. It's just that offense is scary. The defense is well. They seem like they're being well coached now. Sean Payton, after last year and a couple of years, people were thinking maybe he was on the hot seat.
Yeah, seriously.
Not anymore, that's for sure.
Sorry. Rams 32-16. The
Keep
over
rolling,
the
baby.
Cardinals. The Rams are
They're going to the
a
playoffs.
good team, and
At
it
least I
makes you
see they're-
wonder who.
Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher.
Man.
It makes you wonder how bad of a coach he really is, because if it's, I mean, I don't know if it's all coincidental or maybe they just weren't really trying for the coach, and that sometimes can be an issue if the team stopped playing for the coach.
Something he was doing wasn't clicking.
I mean,
though.
they are just they're
Their
a good
offense-
team this year.
They're great. Again, super well-rounded.
Yep.
And it's incredible to see how far Jared Goff has come from
Seriously,
people thinking he's one of the biggest busts of all time.
Yep. To now they're 9-3.
I think they're a threat. I really do. I think they're a threat in the NFC. I really do.
I
think
agree.
They're well coached. They're all playing for their coach, and they seem like they got Todd Gurley, they got Goff slinging, they got Robert
Seriously.
Woods, they got all these pieces that are starting to fall into place.
Yeah. I mean, the Giants are just terrible.
Yeah,
they lost.
We got to touch it a little
17-24.
bit on everything that's going on. With
Yeah,
the
I mean,
Giants.
they just fired their GM. They just fired their head coach.
Yep.
Ben and Jerry.
There's a
McAdoo's
Ben and
out
Jerry
the door.
reference for you, Log.
Yep.
But no, it's a fact that I never thought Ben McAdoo ever was the right coach. I mean, I don't know necessarily. I'm not an X and O's fan who looks super deep into coaching schemes and strategies. I mean,
He just doesn't look like he would be a good coach,
just doesn't look
though.
like it. Look at him. He doesn't
Yeah.
look like it. And to be coaching guys like Odell Beckham Jr. and stuff like that, I feel like you need a coach who's
Gonna have some authority and not try to look like, I don't know.
And then this crazy debacle with Eli Manning, like the fact that even was set into place, I feel like has to do with obviously one of the main reasons McAdoo is being fired. I just think that playoff team last year goes in and are just now they're one of the laughing stocks of the entire NFL.
Yeah, for
the way things have gone down. Now Eli's starting streak is no more. It just doesn't make sense why they would even make that change. So it makes sense to me why those firings make complete sense. But it also doesn't help that your best playmaker on offense, Odell,
is out.
Is out for the season, but which definitely doesn't help the scenario either.
Not at all. The Seahawks taking down the Eagles 24-10.
And that just shows that still, even with all the injuries that the Seattle has on the
they have a solid offense and defense. So one side needs to pick it up, they can.
That's a team where no matter the record, like
24-3. Why does it say 3 when I click on it?
It was
right there. It says 10.
That's weird. I don't know. But yeah, it just shows the dominance that Seattle has been at home, and especially defensively. And
they got that 12th man.
Yeah, they really do, and it's something real because I mean they have injuries all over the
teams are scared when they go in there. It seems
they have
like
a terrible offensive line. I think this was a game to where it's almost sort of a trap game for the Eagles because they're on this gigantic just rise to everyone's thinking they're the number one team in the NFL, and it's perfect that in their first season as being a super, super dominant team in the league that they come out and they go into Seattle and lose. That makes sense to me when it comes – that's the NFL, right?
Carson Wentz threw the ball 45 times.
Yeah, they have this weird thing where they traded for Jay Ajayi.
He did not do that hot.
And
9
now
carries,
he's
35
not
yards.
even being utilized to what at least when I saw that trade go down, I was like, wow, because the Eagles were already a good team offensively. Now they bring in Ajayi. I thought he was just going to be a workhorse and he was going to take everything, But obviously they're still going to be. I mean, they're still one of the best teams in the NFL. But when you go into Seattle like that. That's just a trap game. That's such a hard place to win.
Yeah, for real. Let's roll into let's talk a little bit about the game tonight, and then we can move into our personal teams discussion. Antonio Brown, for those of you that haven't heard yet, for whatever reason,
just announced.
he is gonna play. Whatever it was turf toe, whatever it was, must not be that big of an issue anymore, or maybe he's just. They're playing him but not going to use him that much just to kind of maybe mess with the Bengals defense.
Because because even coming into this game, like you would think the Steelers, this should be a game the Steelers win comfortably. But when you think about the AFC North is always a division where every
They're
game
9-2.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They don't. To me,
Wow.
I mean, they are at top of the AFC, just like the Patriots. They're one of those teams up top of the AFC, and generally you have more confidence in a team like that. Like I personally, I still think, I guess because I'm a Bears fan and I saw the way the Bears beat them, and I was like, they just didn't seem like that great of a team. I don't know. They're rolling now. It's just the fact that they have these positional players is they're so hard. When you have
for real.
When you have a back like Le'Veon who can catch the ball 10 times out of the backfield,
and there's nothing you can do about it.
That little like squiggle where he goes out and like no linebacker can guard Le'Veon Bell. He's basically a wide receiver, running back hybrid. Like he's super fun to watch because he's like slow motion, but he's so nifty. He never gets hit hard.
His IQ seems high for on the field because he can read the defense and almost anticipate where they're going to be going, and he can just maneuver so well.
And then you're as a defensive coordinator, you're supposed to game plan for Le'Veon Bell, and then you got Antonio Brown, like on the
who's
outside,
arguably the best wide receiver in the game, along with
hands
Odell.
And oh my goodness, So, and
for his size, Odell's not that big, but his jumping ability and stuff.
Oh, and the speed and the
makes up
just
for
that quick burst.
Did I say Odell?
Yeah, either way,
I meant Antonio.
I knew you meant.
Sorry.
But and on the Bengals side, I mean, the Bengals are 5-6.
But they're at home.
They're at home. They are at home.
So and they have a good home showing normally. I mean, but that's a rival there.
That's
Steelers
the thing.
And
it's going to be.
When I go there for work, the Cincinnati people and stuff.
I feel like it's over under how many
Pittsburgh,
quarters it's going to take for Vontaze Burfict to get ejected.
Yeah.
And especially in a AFC North matchup like this,
where
the Bengals are coming in this game and they want to beat the hell out of the Steelers. They want to make it physical, because Big Ben's still, the fact that he's still plugging along, he's not necessarily as elite as he's been, but if you hit him and you get him down, he does have a tendency to, bang up those ankles and his knees and his shoulder. He's had a slew of injuries, but should be a good game. I mean, I don't think it's a blowout by any means.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Let's roll into the Bears talk.
Yeah. All right. So the Bears lose, and it was pretty embarrassing. It's pretty obvious the problem that the Bears have is the offense. I mean, it's just hard to move it. It almost feels like they're not opening up the playbook for Mitch, which I see. We're not doing anything this year. We're not winning anything memorable this year. So I feel like this is sort of the coming. They're just trying to ease Mitch into the playbook. They're really trying to get him acclimated to the weapons we have and stuff. Still need a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Great 1-2 punch at running back with Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard.
I know what's his name, Kendall Wright.
Yeah.
I know he hasn't performed. I took him in fantasy thinking he'd maybe be a sleeper.
I think he's a good receiver, but he's not a number one, and especially in an offense.
Could he maybe develop into one? Because
he's not. I think he's a solid 2-3 guy.
Yeah,
but
like Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah. Where he's still gonna. He's just when he's the only guy to focus on there, and we have just a bunch of guys plugged in here and there at wide receiver. But like I said, the offensive line's been all right. Kyle Long still seems to keep getting banged up here and there, but the offensive line plays well. I think this is just a year where we're really trying to ease Mitch because the offense has just been kind of putrid to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, without Tariq Cohen's magnificent punt return, we would have only scored 7 points.
Yeah, that is true.
So we lose 15-14, and it's kind of bittersweet because Robbie Gould's first appearance back at Soldier Field, he hits 5 field goals. Where those are the only points that the 49ers scored were the 5 field goals that Robbie Gould kicked, including the game winner. So he comes back. We've had kicking issues. The Bears have had kicking issues because we didn't want to pay Robbie Gould. And then he comes into Soldier Field and single-handedly beats us with his leg.
You.
Yeah. It was This is one of those games again where you wonder how much longer John Fox will be the coach.
I feel like after this year he's gonna be done.
Because you see, it's funny because you see the
What are
crowd
you guys?
you see the crowd holding up like the Mozilla Firefox
3 and
logo,
5.
and like people want Fox gone. You know, when your team's not great,
Yeah.
and yet you have all these good pieces. Granted, they're young, or at least our franchise.
You should have the right guy developing them.
Yeah, and it just it seems like it's just kind of steadfast with John Fox, and I don't feel that he's gonna be part of the future.
Yeah, seriously. For you, I had a question I wanted to ask you.
Shoot.
What can you take away from this season? Like good and bad. It's like what's something
From the Bears?
positive from this bit? Like when you look back on this season and it's over and there's no playoffs and stuff like that, what can you look at and be like, okay, well this is good and this is a positive moving forward. This is what should change and it hindered us.
The number one is probably just our draft picks. I think we had when the draft was happening, we were taking these Division I AA play, like these smaller school players like Tariq Cohen and Adam Shaheen and stuff. And I was like, it's one of those things where you're like, ugh. You're happy because it's the draft and you want to see what your team, goes with. And a few of those picks, I was like, all right. And then they start showing Tariq Cohen highlights. I'm like, if he can even do a quarter of what he was doing in college, and he looks, if you saw that punt return,
dude, it was awesome.
That's his start. And his speed is so, he has the accelerate. He's a blink of an eye. He's just he's gone up the hole.
He picks up and goes.
So I think those
he even looped around and ran backwards.
Yeah. And he has such a control over his body. He's tough. He's tough as nails. When he gets hit, he pops right back up.
Yep.
You think, wow, that's a tough hit. Pops right back up. And I think Eddie Jackson was. I like the way he's playing at safety. Kyle Fuller has had flashes of being an elite corner. He'll have games where he pops out and you can immediately tell that he's on today. He's batting balls down. He's making tackles behind the line. He's every time it's one of those where every time you see a guy fly in, you're like, oh, I bet that's Kyle Fuller, and he comes out and he's pumped up,
Yeah.
So I think the defense has a lot to look forward to. Akeem Hicks is just absolutely dominant in the middle. I think as far as negative things, I guess the wide receiving core, losing Kevin White again, man. Top 10 pick a few years ago he was a burner in college. He was supposed to be an elite receiver. He really was. And just the injuries have really hurt it. Letting go of Alshon Jeffrey seems to be the wrong decision now.
Yep.
Granted, he needed to be paid a lot of money, so...
Does your brother have his jersey? Or who does he have that's not there anymore?
Oh, Brandon Marshall, I believe.
Marshall.
But again, we had a super dominant receiving core only a couple years ago, and then it just shows how quickly it can switch. But, I think I'm optimistic because I'm a fan, but sitting at 3-9, I just hope we lose more and get a higher draft pick. Because I think we drafted well last year. Let's hope and see that we can draft well again this year.
Yeah.
And,
forward.
develop Mitch with another entire offseason, and I think at least we're trending upwards. At least I think, even though we're having an extremely down year.
Yeah, I can agree there. And what was something bad?
I said what was bad. The receiving core.
Oh, the receiving core.
And just some of the personnel things.
I thought you were gonna go coach there with what was
bad. I didn't want to keep harping because again, I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know because I'm not.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not. I don't know. I don't know.
You want Fox?
I'll take Fox.
You'll take Fox. Log, what about you?
Yeah.
You want Fox gone. Log wants Fox
Need something
gone.
fresh.
Oh man.
Kind of like the Bulls. Give Hoiberg out of there.
Geez.
I'll talk about that later too.
Coach for Illinois.
Lovie Smith.
Then
Mark Trestman. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
hot
God.
daughter. And Trestman was good offensively, but then again, the defense was just god awful.
Yeah.
So.
With Canada though, didn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, his Canadian football league team won 2 consecutive.
Really?
Or something.
That's
Shout out
crazy.
Canadian football on
Yeah,
helmets
that's
and
hilarious.
headbands.
Well, I'm gonna pull up into some Titans talk then, if that's
All
cool. Right. They took down the Texans pretty handily, which I mean you should.
Explain
at this
why
point.
we're talking about the Titans.
Oh, they're my team. I like the Tennessee Titans.
Just gonna do a little update.
Sorry. Yeah. So we'll probably do weekly updates on the Titans and how they're doing. But
that division is
it's crazy.
It's a jumbled, crazy
mess.
Yes, it is.
It is. It's nerve-wracking because the games are really starting to matter as they're piling up on the leaderboard or whatever you want to call it.
The Texans.
And that was a big win.
Granted, the Texans are obviously don't have Deshaun Watson. They've
I
been
mean,
downhill since.
Yeah, definitely. And we've been on a good tear here. We've won a handful of games now.
Sitting at 8-4.
Yeah, sitting
That's
8-4. We're in the top of the division, I think. Maybe not.
Yeah. You're 8-4. That's the division winner right now.
I think the Jags are right below us. But on Sunday they played good. Derrick Henry.
Oh no, you're tied with the Jags at 8-4.
Tied with the Jags.
Yeah.
Do we have the split? Are we ahead of them though?
Yeah. Yep. Titans are in the playoffs.
That's what I'm talking about.
As a division leader.
Sweet. I mean the offense seems to be clicking well. Their offensive line, I think, is pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I haven't watched a single minute of any Tennessee Titans
That's
at all.
Cool. I think their offensive line is pretty solid. Mariota seems to be able to have time in the pocket when he needs to be, but he also likes to scramble from time to time as well.
It does help to have a nice 1-2 punch at running back, too.
Yeah, and
Derrick Henry's come along nicely.
11 carries, 109 yards, and a touchdown.
Did he have a breakaway run? He must have.
I'm not sure specifics. These are just right off the box score. I mean, Delaney Walker, I feel
that's the only thing.
He's the safety net for Mariota.
From an outside perspective, again, somebody who doesn't follow him as closely, they need. Again, they're like the Bears, where they need that number one receiver, and they were hoping drafting Corey Davis as high as he was that he would become that guy. And granted, he was started out injured, and he's a rookie, so it might take him a little bit to kind of mold into the offense, especially with starting out the season injured. But as far as pass catchers, they need someone that can develop alongside of Marcus Mariota.
Exactly.
That's why I think Delaney Walker's becoming. I mean, he's so consistent.
Well, I mean, and the tight end routes and stuff, I feel like are close to the line.
Right.
They're
you can tell
they're in his comfortability range to where Delaney Walker's obviously a safety net, and if Delaney Walker's gone, then it makes me wonder, who is he going to throw to?
That's what I mean. And that's they're going to have
the only person you really
they're
going
to have to lean heavily on running backs again.
Yeah.
So I think obviously they're not championship worthy.
No.
But I think again,
if we can make the playoffs, this is great.
If Corey Davis would have been like the guy that they thought they were drafting that high, they could be a pretty solid contender in the AFC just from again pieces. Mariota's a viable quarterback. He's still not elite yet.
No, not yet. He still needs to develop.
Yeah, there's still some development that needs to happen there.
But I mean, I've been happy with this season. And it's been a joy to watch them, even with a positive record. Even though I know that they're not going to go, if they do make it to the playoffs, it's probably going to be a first-round knockout, which is fine with me because they're at least getting there. Yeah. I mean, the last time...
just getting the taste.
Yes, just getting the taste, just getting there. Even going positive, if they end the season 11-5...
Right, that's a very good season.
I would be so
that's a good season.
Pumped with that. Like, it would be awesome. But yeah, overall, I think it's good. I like it.
And
I like moving forward. But yeah,
as far as the way the playoff picture is unfolding, I mean, obviously you got Patriots, Steelers, and like you said, Titans, and it's. I feel like the AFC is more wide open. The NFC has a lot of good teams. You got teams like again the Falcons who lost to the Vikings, but that's still a team that I wouldn't want to play. The Packers are coming along, they're still in. Lions are losing. Cowboys, Buck, and then when you get down to the bottom, but Panthers, Seahawks sitting in the wild card right now. Those are two good teams. Yeah, Seahawks are going to be scary. They always are. Always.
They're going to be a scary game to play, or scary. Both of them are scary teams to play in that knockout phase right there in the beginning.
Absolutely. And as far as the AFC, I think I still just like I've said on previous episodes. of last year. Like I always have to ride with the Patriots coming out of the AFC.
My
I have
gosh.
to.
Well, duh.
The consistency, the coaching. You've seen everything that's happening. It's been done before. The system is so well ingrained into those players and into that team that it's
they're like the Spurs. You just expect them to make it to the playoffs and be a viable contender.
Absolutely. And out of the NFC, who do you like out of the NFC? Because I mean, Vikings right now, they have the blueprint of how to win championships. Great defense, good weapons on offense, quarterback who doesn't turn the ball over. That's what you need to win titles.
Seriously.
And I think they're good enough to do it. I think the Eagles showed that they still have a little bit more to do to be a championship team. I think the offense is still obviously dominant, but they run into.
Did you say who I like out of the NFC?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, Minnesota, but granted, the Seahawks just took out the Eagles at home, but we talked about the 12th man and all that. The Seahawks are also playoff proven. Granted, they have a lot of people gone, but for some reason,
Pete Carroll's.
I really would like the Eagles
just to see. It'd be fun.
I mean, that city hasn't won anything in so long. I mean, granted, it's not like the
Phillies, I think, was the last one.
Yeah.
Flyers.
But, like, the basketball team hasn't won since, like, the 70s.
Yeah.
Have the Eagles ever won a championship?
They have. Yeah, I think they have. Yeah, I don't know.
Because I know McNabb got it. Yeah, look that up, please. Yeah, just look up the Eagles and go to their Wikipedia page. It'll say if they have any titles.
I also like the Saints too. I think they're a sleeper. I mean, they're not
they're
necessarily a sleeper, but still, like they're
still playoff proven too. They're a team that knows how to get it done. I mean, granted, their title was in like 2009.
Same quarterback, great weapons, good defense. You know, the recipe.
Yeah, but I mean, that's basically all I got.
Yeah, that's it. That's the NFL. That's everything that's going down.
1960.
They won in 1960.
Eagles in 1960.
Is that before the merger?
Wikipedia is giving me NFL championships 1948, 1949, and
yeah, it's been a while for the Eagles.
Holy
they were close
crap.
with T.O. and like Donovan McNabb and all that stuff, but Brian Westbrook.
I think they got to
the 2000s.
They got to a couple title games.
They have dominated the division championship though.
Yeah.
Divisionally.
01, 02, 03, 04, 06, 10, and 13.
Yeah, so they've had good regular seasons. They just need to bust through and
they can't. They put it together like the Chiefs. They can put together a good regular season team, but they can't find a recipe for beyond the 16-game stretch.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move into the NBA.
I love it.
Yeah, let's dive right in head first. Sailor dive.
All right. Well, I was gonna go over scores from last night, but I mean, games have already started for tonight.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna mention like the games that have started. The Magic are beating the Hornets by 2 in the second period with 6 minutes left. The Pacers are dominating the Knicks 56-34.
Yeah, Pacers looking good.
In the second quarter, the 76ers are getting smoked by the Suns 53-39. Almost halftime there. And the Hawks and Nets just started 12-9 there, and the Celtics are beating the Bucks 24-17.
And just over the weekend, kind of a notable game.
Yeah.
Thunder finally getting a win against the Spurs too.
Yep, against that playoff proven team.
A low scoring game, 90 to 87.
LaMarcus Aldridge has been playing very well for them, and you can tell it's because Kawhi's not in there.
Yeah.
And they've been focusing their offense around LaMarcus because they know he can get it done. Though it's nice seeing him like play like when he was in Portland, because he is hitting those turnaround shots.
Yeah, his mid-range game is
you can
phenomenal.
tell he feels great, and I wonder what their chemistry is going to be like exactly when Kawhi does come back, and how that's going to affect the chemistry of everybody else.
I think it has to, because I just think Kawhi is a transcendent player.
He's like a LeBron.
LaMarcus is a great NBA player.
Oh, yeah.
He really is, but
he's not that all-around
He's not
guy.
on Kawhi's level. He's not. And the offense needs to run through Kawhi. Everything on that team is funneled through Kawhi's skill set. So, I mean, if anybody can do it, Greg Popovich, I believe in it.
Do you think LaMarcus legitimately knows that?
I think from what I've heard from NBA, other NBA podcasts and circles, is LaMarcus Aldridge is kind of a diva. First of all,
Yeah, I've heard that.
He
too.
wanted out of Portland because
kind of
Dame
like Dwight Howard.
Because Dame Lillard was the guy. He wanted to be the guy, which is interesting.
That is true.
It's interesting why he even the reason why he's in San Antonio, because of he's not the number one guy.
Yeah,
he's the
weird.
I mean, I think in his mind it's sort of a 1A 1B, but I think in everyone else's mind and NBA fans, and he's the number 2.
That is probably how Popovich sold him.
Right.
It'll basically be a 1A 1B. Like it's going to be you guys sharing that number 1 role.
And again, if anybody can do it, Pop can do it.
Oh yeah,
I think he can. But it's just cool to see.
He's one of those only combinations of general manager coach that really work and has real success behind it.
He's great. Pop's awesome. I mean, how can you not like Pop?
For real.
But it just so.
But with the Thunder,
yeah, let's go into the Thunder a little bit here, because they've skidded a little bit.
They are having issues, and do you think they maybe need to? Does Russell Westbrook need to take a step back and maybe change the focal point, and maybe let's funnel a little bit of the offense more through Paul George or something like that?
Yeah, the whole Russell Westbrook dynamic is just it's interesting to try and digest and really like think about, because on one hand he's an extremely dominant player, great athlete, amazing basketball player, but the way he meshes with his teammates, there's obviously something there. It's not just the fact that he's a ball-dominant player, and I feel like if a guy like Oladipo and Domantas Sabonis can leave and are having career years away from Westbrook, I think that's something to be questioned. I think that has to do with head coaching. I think it has to do with scheme. I think it has to do with the way his personality is. He's like Kobe in the fact that...
Yeah, I'd probably be scared of him if I was the coach. I'd be like, yeah, dude, do whatever you want.
Just by the way he plays. That's why I think it takes...
Plays like a psychopath.
I don't think Billy Donovan is the coach for not necessarily just the Thunder, but for Russell Westbrook. I think he needs a hard-nosed guy. He needs a guy that's going to test him and say, you know what? This is the way we want the offense to run. Yep. I think that, this is the way that things should go.
But, I mean, in the NBA... Unlike the NFL, the players have so much power. That Westbrook could just get him out of there.
Fired.
And most of the coaches, that's probably why. I mean, even with the change, it still looks the same as when... Who was their last coach?
Scott Brooks.
Yeah. I mean, it still just looks the same ISO ball, not really
moving
the ball if they have to, but they're not looking for the movement.
I also heard an interesting stat. I believe they are top 3 in least passes made per game.
Oh, wow.
So the ball's not moving. And in this day and age in the NBA, the teams that are thriving are teams that move
the ball.
Golden State, Houston, San Antonio, Boston's even moving the ball a lot better this year with some of those young players.
Yeah.
So I think in this NBA era, Russell Westbrook can be an extremely dominant player, but can he be a teammate that can be something that, he can get his other players involved and just really open things up instead of sort of saying like, I'm the guy here. I'm gonna go to the rim every time. And granted, that's better than a lot of other teams have. But if you're trying to break through that ceiling in the West, I mean,
yeah, and it just seems weird that they are able to mesh and play together whenever the Olympics are around. But when they're playing the NBA, like it's hard to find that chemistry with players.
It could be and coaching, could be a level of competition, and stuff like that. Because I think Mike Krzyzewski, Popovich,
also
everybody has the level
Olympics,
of respect.
They're passing more though. They're playing more of that
street ball where everything's just everything's flying around like crazy. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as the Bulls go, the Chicago Bulls. With Zach LaVine coming back soon, I'm not sure how quick he comes back. I know it's going to be
late December. I believe. I just saw
within this month. He'll be back in the month. With him coming back, is that a big enough help to change their season, or will this be just kind of like a good we have something to build on. Let's just work on building chemistry throughout.
I
the
think
rest
the
of this
trajectory is the same. I always wonder how far up the sort of tanking goes. Like, is it the front office? They bring it and saying like, hey, we need to develop some of these young guys, but like, we don't want to win. Like, I always wonder how it was with the 76ers, if it's like a thing where it's all the way at the top. They all know that they're going to tank. They're like, we're tanking.
Trust the process.
So, yeah, and it's, I mean, from what they
look
have
at
now,
the
it
process
works.
now. They dealt with injuries, though, for a long time.
It's looking like it could be an absolutely dominant force, the Sixers. But, no, the Bulls were in full tank mode. We're 3-18. We've lost a lot of close games. Yeah. Like, a few, like, it always seems like they stick around a little bit, and then they lose. They stick around a little bit, then they lose. Some of the bright spots for me personally, from watching a lot of their games, I like the progression of Denzel Valentine this year. I think his court presence, when his shot's falling, he's a great 3-shooter. Yeah. He has, again, it's a little bit spotty. He's not the most efficient, but he has hot games. But looking at the box scores, he's not a Justin Holiday where he has like 27 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. Mm-hmm. Denzel is all over the floor. He gets rebounds, steals, blocks, assist. Like he's one of those players. He's almost like a Lonzo Ball who can shoot better. I mean, granted, that's high expectations. I mean, Lonzo's had a terrible year, but as far as scoring and efficiency, but
his efficiency. I think
Denzel for a lottery pick last year, he just with the jumbled mess we had as a roster last year, he didn't get a lot of time, but I think his court presence, just the way he looks on the court, he's always balanced. He always makes that extra pass. So I like the way he's coming along. I like the way Chris Dunn's coming along too. I wanted him in the draft in the year before, and Minnesota ended up taking him, and then we end up trading, and now we have him. So I thought he was great in college. He looks good now in the Bulls. He had a terrible year in Minnesota last year. Efficiency was awful. Turnovers were through the roof, but he's progressing. He looks like he's
and change of scenery does a lot for these players when they do make these moves. Some of it doesn't have to be coaching. It can just be getting out. Maybe they didn't like their teammates and they just wanted to something different.
And now, especially on this team, there's the green lights all over the place. I mean, we're not going anywhere, so you can focus on development. Like you can focus on. You don't have to really pressure to win games, even though you would think you would want to. But there's got to be this air around the Chicago Bulls organization that knows we're tanking. Yeah. And obviously our draft pick, Lauri Markkanen, better than I ever expected he would be. I remember the draft night when we picked him. I was like, another 7-foot white guy from he played at Arizona, but European. I was like, oh man, here we go again. Like with these tall, white European players, and like I was like, he's just gonna be another flame out, some guy who can kind of hit some shots here and there. But he's been great. He's a great 3-point shooter. He really is. He's rebounding at a high rate. He doesn't seem skittish on the floor. He seems comfortable. He's finding his shots. He's getting open. He's hitting his shots, which is great. Yeah. Great to see from a pick that I didn't know too much about when we made it, and I was a little skeptical. But, yeah, and just Zach LaVine in general. He played in Minnesota, not the biggest market, but you would see him on All-Star Weekend making windmill dunks and winning dunk contests. And what I think the average fan doesn't know that he's actually a very good NBA player.
He is a good
If
NBA
you watch
player.
His ability to score from three,
his
slash, he tore his ACL
last year.
9 months ago, I believe they said. Yeah. And he's now, from what I've heard and I've read, he was in warm-ups a couple of games ago doing windmill dunks. Like he's got the bounce, and I think now with just the way injuries have gone, the technology is getting so advanced that an ACL injury is not necessarily the worst thing for your career like it used to be. So I think he's going to come back, and especially with the roster we have now, he's going to eat. He is going to be full every game. I'm telling you right now. he's just going to be everything. It's going to limit Justin Holiday because Zach LaVine is basically a way better version of Justin Holiday. So it'll be fun to watch. It'll give Bulls fans something to look forward to, because I think if you haven't
progressing forward,
right? If you haven't watched a lot of what he's done, he's every night he's gonna do something that blows. Blows your mind.
He's an athletic player, and his talents should not
be
ignored.
Just to end the Bulls talk, just because I could talk for days on this. I wrote down in my notes, Hoiberg is flaming garbage, because I think Fred Hoiberg he was a fun hire. Just because Iowa State was a great team. I know just from what I've heard from other coaches on podcasts and stuff like that, he's a great X's and O's type of guy. He can draw up good plays.
Yeah.
When it comes to lineups, though, it's so frustrating with
I feel
a
like
team.
You're saying he's an assistant type of guy,
right? But with a team like that, we have the construction of this team. I just want consistency. The whole Bobby Portis, Nikola Mirotic thing that's happening, you got to take the reins of your team.
Yeah, seriously.
And I feel like he's on the Iditarod, and the dogs are just pulling him, and he's like, all right, Bobby, you get in play. Sorry, Nico, that your face is broken, but Bobby,
seriously.
go ahead and get in here. Like, it's just, obviously I don't know everything that's gone on. I know that kind of went both ways, but I would really enjoy it if we had a different head coach, both for the Bears and the Bulls.
Yeah, that could do a lot for you guys, I think. Also,
Are there any other teams or anything you want to talk about in the NBA? Because I feel
like about the Heat a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I actually watched the Bulls Heat.
One thing that
last
you
weekend.
were talking about, I forget who you just mentioned. Something, but he can shoot. I forget.
A lot of players in the NBA can shoot the basketball.
We were talking. Shut up. We were talking about the Bulls, but Winslow is something that he hasn't developed.
Yep.
That he.
Yep.
I
loved him coming out of college.
So did I.
I thought he was going to be.
I thought
dominant.
I thought he was going to be able to develop and take
He had some
the
change.
shooting guard spot over for D Wade, and we would really be able to.
You'd be set at
rely
that position
on him.
for
Yes,
the next
exactly
8 years at least.
But there's just something about him that's missing, and his shot has gotten better, but it's just
His shots just.
he just doesn't have
doesn't look that
something,
great.
whether it's the touch or the feel. Maybe it's his IQ. I don't know. I mean, he went to Duke,
Right.
but granted.
To play basketball, but
Yeah, but still. I mean, Hassan's out, and that's something he has seemed to develop into more of a team player. People always ripped on him for his he worried about his stats, kind of like a Wilt Chamberlain, just cared about his own, getting blocks. And now you can see him make his rotations to the basket better. I'm not saying he's amazing at it or anything like that.
he's developed that little 10-foot little jumper from the baseline too. Which
he
is
has.
something that when he just started to come out with the Heat, he couldn't do anything but he was basically just like a dunker. You know what I mean?
Yep.
A dunker and rebounder. Now he's put in the time, and at least now that the Heat know that he's basically their biggest asset.
Yep,
That
for sure.
He has that little squeaker jump shot, and if
Yeah.
you don't come out on him, he hits it.
Yeah.
That's huge to have.
I just want to say, I don't know about Deion Waiters.
Oh, I know about Deion Waiters.
I feel like he's more of a flop than anything else.
My favorite thing, I don't know where I heard the quote. It's something that obviously just bounces around every time Deion Waiters comes up in discussion. He's one of those players who thinks that he is the best player in the NBA.
Yeah.
You can't tell him differently. Nights where he doesn't shoot well, it's not his fault that the shot wasn't. He's one of those players where he can bust out for 38, 40 points. He's done it. I've seen it. I've seen games where it's mind-blowing at the shots that he hits.
He can have
but
those
he's
nights.
so inconsistent.
But he's like a J.R. Smith. He is not the star of your
comparison.
team.
No,
I
he's
mean,
not. But he thinks he is, and he wants to be.
He has rises and falls,
Yeah.
and he just happened to go on a huge streak last year going into a contract
Yeah,
year.
he was right. You're right. That's a great way to put it.
Also, I just really hate that we have Kelly Olynyk on our team.
Oh, yuck. Does anybody like Kelly Olynyk?
No.
You look like Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah, dude, you got the heat and the ponytail.
You could be cousins or something.
The only people that like
This is
Kelly
the
Olynyk are Boston fans.
I don't like you.
Okay, but realistically, he's a pretty good NBA player. He really is.
Yeah.
He's got that aggression. He's not scared of nobody.
He's a good.
He can hit the three.
He's a good NBA player. He's a good journeyman to have coming off the bench.
He's
not fun.
He's not sexy.
I hate him.
Nobody likes.
Random thing that I wanted to talk about with the Thunder that I forgot in my notes. But I see it right here. Who's came a long way with that team and you've watched over the last few years? Steven Adams.
Oh, with OKC.
Yeah.
Oh,
Steven Adams. I like him.
I love Steven.
For fantasy and everything. Like he's a well-rounded player. I would rather the Heat have Steven Adams than Kelly Olynyk.
Oh well,
by far.
Absolutely. I wonder.
I don't know anyone who wouldn't take that.
I guess I wonder, like the theory we're saying about how players get better without Westbrook. I think if he was on another team,
he wouldn't be as well. He's one of those people that are.
No, I'm thinking he'd
be better.
He's way too big. He's way too athletic. The dude is super nimble on his feet for being as big as he is.
He is.
He has good post moves. That's a guy that he can back you down outside of like DeMarcus Cousins and Andre Drummond. Like he's one of the stronger big men like in the entire NBA.
Yeah.
But he fits so well. He fits so well on this Thunder team. How he's not asked to do anything too crazy. He's asked there to get offensive rebounds, get putbacks, get oop dunks from Westbrook,
which is fine with him.
I really like what Steven Adams does.
What's up?
Let's guess his age.
Oh,
guess how old Steven's
Adams.
I feel like he's younger than we think.
I think because I remember when they drafted him, but
you won't guess.
He looks like he's 40.
I'm gonna say he's 28 or 29.
I'm gonna go with 25.
25. The answer is 24.
Holy! That's illegal. Let's check his birth certificate. That doesn't seem
sketchy.
legal.
July 20th.
New Zealand ass.
But back to the Heat quick. I also have just here written down. I think they're just an even team, just like they were last year. Maybe slightly above, but I mean, right now they're sitting 11 and 12. I love Eric Spoelstra.
Great.
They're
coach.
not going to get rid of him. I feel like unless there's a new regime comes in after Pat Riley when he's finished and stuff. Because I mean, Spoelstra started out as like their video editor or something way down the line.
How high you can climb if you have the skills to do it.
Seriously.
And I was one of those people where I thought his success was coming because of he had LeBron and Wade and that type of stuff. And now you see the characters he has now and the way. I mean, that team's a hard out for anybody. Yeah. They are. Even with Whiteside
they are
injured,
in a lot of tight games.
They're a tough team to play.
Yep.
Goran Dragic is
he's a little crafty. I like him as our point guard. He's a crafty little. I wish we didn't. Man, we just tied a lot of money to Hassan and the NBA does. I had Tyler Johnson stuff written down here, and I skipped over it because I didn't even want to talk about it.
He got a fat contract.
I have overrated / overpaid written on my notes.
I think he wouldn't be overrated if he didn't. I mean, I guess
if he wouldn't have signed that contract.
But in the NBA, in this day and age of the NBA,
he's
that's kind of what happens.
Regular.
Yeah, that's just how much you have to pay a guy. True. And I don't know. He's all right. He sometimes does some things that are fun, but he got a fat contract, and I think you could plug in a lot of players that do what he does.
Yeah, for real.
Before we get into fantasy, I want to mention one thing. Does anybody know who the Houston Rockets are?
Yeah.
I just feel like no one's. Whenever you talk about best teams, somebody would say
people
Golden
skip
State,
over the Rockets.
Cleveland. Like they forget how good the Rockets are. With the addition of Chris Paul, which started out a little shaky, now they fit in so well.
And he was injured for a while there too.
They're so hard to guard. How do you guard that team?
Yeah.
Like it's just I'll talk a little bit more about the Rockets when we talk about some of our fantasy basketball players, but I just wanted to mention them because it feels like no one's talking about them. Mm-hmm. And I think they can seriously contend with the Warriors. I really do. I really truly believe that with the addition of Chris Paul and Clint Capella like doing crazy shit. Let's start with NBA fantasy since we're in NBA.
Yeah, we'll do a quick fantasy.
If anybody plays NBA fantasy, I feel like it's on the rise. I mean,
I love it.
We've been playing for quite a while, but it's one of those things where I remember something came up that ESPN is now they have an official scoring system for NBA fantasy. It's the same as FanDuel. So as far as what we're referencing about NBA fantasy, because I know if anybody plays it is a diehard, there are different scoring systems. Mm-hmm. The one we are referring to is just a straight points based system. So It just as a reference, that's what we were going to be referencing from. So
yeah, that's good that you touched on that.
Because I know there's category leagues and stuff, but we're going to just strictly focus on just point scoring leagues.
Yeah. Who do you have? And we're referring to like our teams, right? When we're talking about this stuff. I mean, I kind of reflected on this stuff as my own team.
Your personal team?
Yeah.
I went all around.
I mean, I kind of did some all around stuff too, but
like,
it
doesn't.
Biggest surprises.
Because you see your team the most, so
yeah,
you have the most to say. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Biggest surprise for me on my NBA team so far.
Your NBA fantasy team. You have a team.
My NBA fantasy team?
You said NBA team.
Oh.
I'd love an NBA team.
I would love an NBA team, too.
Just watch basketball all the time and
yeah,
eat chicken wings and shit.
But Robert Covington.
Oh, yeah. Bob Cove. Roflo.
He has been I drafted him, and I was on the – man, I was just like, I don't know. And he has been balling for me.
He's great. He can
I love it.
And as just far as an NBA player itself, the reason why I thought he would take a fall in fantasy this year is because of Ben Simmons and Fultz was supposed to be playing, and
Ben Simmons.
They just have these. Oh, we'll get into Ben Simmons.
He's a beast.
We had Robert Covington. I thought that maybe even the Sixers wouldn't give him a new deal. The deal that Robert Covington signed, I don't know it off the top of my head. I should have looked it up, but he is making as much as guys like Tyler Johnson, where the impact that he has on the court for fantasy teams and for the Sixers in general. I mean, he's one of the best. He's one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. He can hit again. He's a guy that just does everything.
Yeah.
Little up and down in fantasy. I mean, you could probably talk about that a little bit too, because I've seen him put up 35-point game or fantasy points, but then I've also seen him, fall a little bit.
Yeah, I mean,
little bit, because he'll have a game
over the last like 20 games. There is 1 -2, 1 5, and tonight right now he has 4. Other than that, all of them are 11 or higher.
Which is and that helps you in weekly leagues.
Oh
too.
yeah, over the season he's averaging 16.7 fantasy points. He's only owned in 88.6% of the leagues, which is kind of crazy to think about.
I feel like those are just leagues people just they accidentally did it and no one drafts nothing. Yeah. It's just like a 8-person team or something, or a 16.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird, but
no, I like Robert. I want him.
Yeah.
You want to give him to me?
We can talk later off air.
Who else? Do you have more surprises you want to talk about? I got a couple.
I mean, Jeremy Lamb.
Oh yeah,
has been phenomenal for me.
I
picked him up off waivers.
Yeah,
and he's been averaging almost 17 points a game, which is just
And again, our personal for our fantasy basketball league, we've even tweaked the scoring even more. So as far as numbers, it's not exactly like what FanDuel would score, but
no. But I mean,
we do a -1 for field goal attempts.
-1 for field goal attempts, -1 for free throw attempts.
No, there's no -1 for free throw attempts.
If you miss a free throw, you get -1.
Do you?
Yeah. Just players don't miss a lot of free throws. Players don't miss a lot of free throws unless they're garbage like kids.
Oh, you have Jeremy. Oh yeah, Jeremy Lamb started. The reason why he's being able to get even to where he was at is because of Batum's injury.
Yep.
He came in. Batum started the season injured, and Batum is a high usage rate type of player too, with Kemba there. And I just think, Jeremy Lamb was a good player at UConn.
Yeah.
You saw him he was one of those guys you saw in college basketball because you could see him a lot in. You saw him a lot in the tournament, and he was a good scorer and this and that. But no, I like him.
He's really blossomed.
He's been pretty good for people who have been able to pick him up.
Yep. And another one, he just went to my IR, but Kyle Anderson for the Spurs. I generally have a rule that I stay away from Spurs players, but
he's the guy that's taking Kawhi's spot.
He's been averaging 15 points a game, basically 14.7, and I grabbed him off waivers.
Yeah.
Big surprise for me, and it's maintained. He hasn't just
he's going to be one of those guys you drop when
one quick one, though. Just real quick, because I've had him in the past. Grabbed him off waivers. Lou Williams. I drafted him in this year, hoping he would have big things on the Clippers.
Injuries to the Clippers.
He started out the first few weeks only averaging around 10 points a game, I think. Like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And now he's steadily worked it up and held 16. I'm not going to drop him.
You're almost pressing the drop
I'm the
button.
commissioner. If I accidentally hit the drop button, I'll put him back on my team.
So yeah, those are some surprises. I wouldn't say Lou Williams is a surprise.
No,
just because he's kind of been.
But
who
I've
he
had
is.
him in the past. The reason I did that was because I've had him in the past, and it seems like he normally averages around 12 fantasy points a game. So if he can hold this 16 up throughout the season, I'd say that's a good surprise for me.
So I got more surprises here, who are, obviously, like we mentioned earlier, Ben Simmons. I'll get into him a little bit more, but Clint Capella. My goodness, Clint Capella.
He started busting on the scene late last year.
Yeah, he did. And even a season, even a couple seasons ago, he was a guy that floated on waiver wires a little bit.
Yep, he was.
But now he's just an absolute animal. One of the best centers you could pick up in fantasy. I heard a stat that he leads the league in dunks.
Wow.
And in fantasy basketball, that's the most efficient shot in basketball.
Oh, yeah.
So his efficiency is through the roof. He's catching lobs from Harden and Chris Paul and ripping boards down. He's got the energy. He's got the motor. He's in my opinion, I think he's going to end up being a better version of DeAndre Jordan. He can just do more because he's a little bit shorter and maybe not as good of a defender, but he's still a guy he's got a high motor. He's going to like I said, he's going to catch lobs and dunks. And another one I have is Aaron Gordon. If you play fantasy at all, he's a guy he's been a guy that everyone's been waiting. They're waiting for. He's been drafted. He's been kind of iffy, but now this is the year everybody wanted him. This is the year that I wanted him. They knew he was going to play
Ian James, even though that's not his middle name, but Ian drafted him, and the guy dropped 50 on me one night. In the middle of the week.
Yep.
He had like 100 points throughout the whole course of the week. That week, Ian had 3 players scored 90 points or more throughout the course. It's like you can't. It's hard to beat that.
Yeah, but again, this is a guy everybody wanted this year. One of the hot commodities in fantasy. Not necessarily a surprise, but just to see where he's at. He's playing at the 4 now, which is his natural position. He's not a 3. It's obvious now that he's playing at the 4. He's thriving. Kyle Kuzma, a couple rookies, Kyle Kuzma and Donovan Mitchell. Kyle Kuzma for the Lakers, he started out red hot. Obviously he's a rookie, so it's consistency issues.
It's not going to be
It's definitely a surprise to see where his numbers have been. And as of late, Donovan Mitchell just scored 41 points, real points, a couple of games ago, just imposing his will on the offensive end. Again, has a high motor. He's just been a fun guy to watch. And then for a couple disappointments, I'll just go straight into it.
Yeah.
Avery Bradley, coming out of the Celtics, coming off of the Celtics onto the Pistons, I thought he'd be more utilized in the Pistons system. I thought he would be one of their main go-to guys when it comes to scoring and stuff. But Reggie Jackson's taken a leap, and so obviously Andre Drummond's just a monster. So Mike Conley, I know he's been injured, but even before he was injured, his efficiency was pretty bad. He's a guy I'm not really worried about. If you can buy low on him, I feel like he's a guy that you could offer to the owner of Mike Conley for something low. Granted, he is injured right now. Yeah. So I think if you're willing to take the hit on an injured guy or you have an opening in IR, I think he's a good buy low guy. And then my last one is Brook Lopez. He has fallen very far. The Lakers just aren't utilizing him the way the Nets did. He's not really a piece to their offense. I
got one disappointment.
You're on the clock. Go ahead. Who are yours?
One, just we talked about him earlier, but
yeah.
For 27 minutes a game,
him.
I know 27 minutes a game, Tyler Johnson, and you're only averaging 9.2 fantasy points a game, and you're getting like $50 million over the next 4 years or something. That's
one of those guys they had.
Another one.
I thought he would be I thought he'd be good too.
Plumlee.
Oh, that's just as far as like.
That's just a weird scheme. He's in a weird position.
He's just not in the right spot.
I know because last year
the Trailblazers he was nice.
Last year I drafted him.
Double machine.
Drafted him from the Trailblazers. After I was dumb, and after a week, I said, "Why isn't this dude producing? I'm done." Threw him off to the side, and I think Darius might have picked him up last year, and he ended up getting him like a double every single night, and I hated myself for passing him aside. But you know what's funny? I did that the year previous too,
With a player dropping him too early?
With Mason Plumlee.
With Plumlee?
I did the same thing. And then the next year, I was like, I'm not going to drop him this year. And it was happening again. And I was like, I'm done. And then so I avoided
That's one thing about fantasy
year.
Basketball. If you're not as patience, preach patience, man.
Yep.
If
That's why I didn't mess with my player for like the first couple weeks.
Guys will come back.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, if they're a disappointment, they've been off my team for a while or something. And I don't even pay attention, so I don't really have too many disappointments. Other than Rudy Gobert going down injury-wise and being out for a while, which he became active today, and I put him in my lineup. He's playing tonight.
He's playing tonight? Really?
Yep.
Wow. Good for him.
Kyle Anderson and John Wall are injured, so I still have some injuries I'm dealing with.
And Blake Griffin out 2 months. That sucks.
Yeah, Blake Griffin going. I feel bad for him.
He gets hurt all the time.
Chris Paul just came back, but him also, he was injured for a while there.
And Paul Millsap's basically almost. He probably is done for the year with the. He just had surgery on his left wrist, out 3 months. And Kawhi, who knows?
Yeah,
that's what I wrote next to. Who knows when Kawhi's going to be coming back? Because I mean, you trust a organization like the Spurs, but.
At the same time, they baby him so much, they could have him out this whole season.
That's what I mean. I'm sure fantasy owners who drafted him are kind of bummed out that because you had to spend a first-round pick on him, and you're kind of just waiting around. So, but yeah, and then let's finish up the basketball fantasy with just our who's your MVP of the first quarter of the season? Thus far?
And you mean fantasy MVP or
fantasy
like
MVP.
Normal, like regular season MVP?
Just as far as who you think is one of the most valuable pieces to this first quarter of the season.
I was tossed up between
because I have one and it's not necessarily the conventional pick, but
damn,
putting you on the spot, dude. Dead air.
No.
Let's go.
All right, fine. I'm gonna go with Giannis,
the
whatever.
G is silent, I think.
Whatever. Giannis
Is it?
Antetokounmpo. He's been just balling out, and you can tell that he is the leader of that team.
He's fun
and they
to have
will
on
be
your team.
following him.
Like when you're watching Bucks games, he just again he eats, he gets rebounds, steals, blah. He's just all over the court.
My other one was LeBron, just because of how his age.
Of course, you had to put that in.
His age.
No,
and,
I had LeBron in mind too, but
how he's playing just at this.
Oh, he's just
a
destroyer.
He's having a career year again. It feels like we've been saying that every year for the past
and
4 years.
He keeps maintaining the level without being injured, and it's just absolutely phenomenal. But
what you got?
He's not necessarily the guy who's scoring the most points. Like I wanted to go with some like he's the most valuable in my opinion is Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
Because of where you drafted him potentially and the returns you're getting.
Is he Australian?
Yes. Australian. Played one useless year at LSU, which proves the point of the one and done is just kind of a waste of time.
They'll be done with it in a year or two.
I mean, where you drafted him, probably around between pick 40 and 60, I guess, depending on the draft you had, which that's how you win leagues.
Yeah.
When you get those players who their value ends up just massively exceeding where you drafted them, and the consistency, he's a guy, he's staying injured, he seems athletic, he seems he's just his burst. He has that, and he can just do everything besides shoot a three. So I think with time will come, but in my opinion, if you drafted Ben Simmons, you're probably sitting in the top ranks of your fantasy league.
Oh, yeah.
49th overall, average draft position.
Yeah, he was average draft position 49th overall, and he's a top 15 fantasy guy right now. That's huge benefits you get for draft position. And let's do so fantasy football. The playoffs are probably beginning. This tonight can probably sway a lot of matchups depending on who you have and stuff, getting into the playoffs and whatnot. So as the playoffs are coming into play, do you have some players that are kind of on the rise that are definitely someone that you would want on your squad right now?
Basically, I wrote Steelers offense. It just
Not
seems
bad.
like, and I wrote that initially because I thought Antonio was going to be out tonight, so I was thinking, well, everyone else is going to get a tick up there,
Right.
And going forward, if that continues to be an issue, those could be some
Right.
big people to have on. Also, I thought Marshawn Lynch. And the only reason I thought of that is because I know he's averaging 7.9 points a game throughout the season, but over the last 4 contests, he's done 19, 8, 19, and 20.
Yeah.
So, I mean, going into these weeks, if he's hot and they're going to keep riding that
he's getting those goal line touches
legs,
too, and he just seems,
he
seems like he's coming into his own. I mean, we started out the year a little bit slow, but
Jared Goff, has been a great pickup for people. And I don't think he was drafted in most leagues as a quarterback.
Probably
unless you're
not.
that big of a league. We're a 10-team league, so he didn't get drafted in our league, I don't think. And then also Josh Lambo. He's a kicker for the Jags. I picked him up earlier in this year, and, I mean, his numbers have just been phenomenal. I want to pull him up quick just to touch on it. A kicker. He got 10 this week, but he was undrafted going into the year. He was let go by the Colts. His game back was against the Colts. So he's only played since week 7, but he's gotten 10, 13, 6, 6, 7, 10.
And for a kicker, I
mean,
you can't ask for much more than, 9, 10 points if you really want.
Yep. But yeah.
I have
who I got.
I have a guy that's pretty obvious that I personally have, and he's making my ride to the playoffs pretty smooth, is Alvin Kamara. I mean, the last 4 or 5 weeks, he has to be the number 1 player in fantasy. He's averaging like 25 points, like in fantasy football, PPR. So, I mean, he's amazing. If you have him, you know why.
Yep.
I thought the LA Chargers defense was a waiver wire pickup a couple of weeks ago, and now heading into the playoffs, I think.
Oh, yeah. I had Chargers on my thing. Sorry, I'm dumb.
Yeah. We're kind of molding the same.
Yeah.
And then I had Josh McCown, 6 total touchdowns the last 2 games, including 2 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were having quarterback struggles at any point, picking up Josh McCown, you're making a late surge where you don't have to worry about your quarterback now. He's like I said, 6 total touchdowns in 2 games. I mean, that's killer. A couple other pickups I won't get too close into. I mean, Jamal Williams for the Packers. He's been good. Patriots defense has been good. Latavius Murray, Minnesota running back who sat on waiver wires only because people thought Jerick McKinnon was going to get the most the load. But 60 total PPR fantasy points the last 4 weeks combined. He's been great. Got any others you want to touch on here?
Yeah, I snagged Dion Lewis a couple weeks ago, running back for the Patriots, and I know their Patriots are very hit and miss. But since I've grabbed him,
except for the main state,
since I've grabbed him, he's been. I mean, he's gotten me like 9 or so each week the last few weeks. And I mean, my running back. If you know my team,
if you're depleted at running back,
I'm depleted. I have
a lot of people
Gurley, and that's it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask. I wanted each of us. And maybe you can get in on this too, kid. I want a player that we each drafted that has surprised you, that maybe you rolled the dice on, and they're like now a key part that you're like, I'm going to go for it. Maybe they'll pan out, whatever.
I'll start.
Yeah.
I hate to be like arrogant, but the team that I drafted, my expectations were high because I thought I had a good team.
Yeah.
And now it's just the team that I had, like, they're not really exceeding my expectations because they are who they are. Tom Brady, Le'Veon Bell. The only thing I guess is losing Zeke hurts, but I had Kamara, luckily.
Yeah,
a lot of my pickups were pretty lucky this year.
All right, Jared's team is like 11-1.
Should be
this
12-0, but
all right. But yeah, so I mean, his team is solid in our league, and he's looking like he's definitely a championship hopeful.
What about yours? Because your team's been steamrolling.
Mine has been Todd Gurley. I know last year he was terrible.
Rough, yeah.
And I researched a lot on
him. It was kind of a gamble.
It was a gamble. Like, And when I drafted him going into it, I said, okay, worst comes to worst, I can throw him aside, whatever, you know? And he's been so good. I mean, he got
catching
me 21.
He's
averaged 20.5 points throughout the whole season.
In an offense
that's really been
surging, which helps tremendously.
And then that's been mine. I mean, obviously, I've had Antonio Brown last year and this year, and clearly he's going to be a big key for that. But what about you, kid?
For me, though, it's not the biggest the tight end position for me.
Oh,
Zach
yeah.
Ertz.
Zach Ertz, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my
ESPN
goodness.
has him overall at the 82nd pick, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
That's
the 8th tight end off the board.
Yeah, he was, and he's now
Wow.
what, the second ranked tight end? He's
Second or one.
Yeah, he might even be over Gronk. Yeah,
For a while. And,
which is
I mean,
incredible.
That's crazy.
That's incredible.
was ripping him a new one on draft day.
Oh, yeah.
A little tidbit, and it's like, let's stop pretending Zach Ertz
Is an elite.
tight
Yeah,
end, and
yeah.
what he
Look
does.
at him now.
Yeah.
Shut him
Again,
up,
like we
man.
were talking about Delaney Walker, how he's the
Yeah,
security blanket.
He is
for
their
Carson
security
Wentz, man.
blanket.
He just
No, for Mariota.
yeah. No, I was talking. Ertz is the security.
Oh,
blanket
you
for-
said Delaney
yeah.
Walker. I thought you meant.
Yeah, I was just comparing the two, but yeah, and a couple of guys that have fallen off before we end the show here.
Yep.
I had Kareem Hunt just because he started off so hot, and you thought he was going to be the number one guy in fantasy. Falling off a little bit here is just kind of going along with what the Chiefs are doing. I own Jordan Howard, and he's very sporadic. He's a guy who's going to get you 20 or he's going to get you 4. I think that's just a manner of the Bears offense not being able to really pass the ball too much, so they're kind of packing the box on Howard.
Yeah.
And then I have Tyrod Taylor, just because of the way he got benched, and he was a top 10 fantasy quarterback last year, and I liked him coming into this year. I thought they had some good weapons, but I mean, with the injury now, but the benching, and he's kind of fallen down a little bit.
I got 2. One
I got 1, 2, 3.
is T.Y. Hilton. I drafted him thinking.
No Andrew Luck.
I drafted him
Sucks.
thinking that Andrew Luck was going to be coming back after a few weeks, and he literally this year turned into that player that's either going to get you 4 or he's going to get you 20.
Yeah.
And I just
he's had a couple gigantic.
I
ones,
sat him.
but
I
it's hard.
thought about playing him this weekend,
hard
and
to
I
predict.
didn't. And I was debating putting him over Sanu. Sanu got me 7. Ty got me 14. Another one, Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh yeah. The trade has been terrible.
The trade has been terrible,
hurt.
and now he's hurt, and it's just, I mean, he's averaged 8.
He's just a giant. If you
Yeah.
see him on the field, he should be a tight
He's
end.
just-
The guy is huge.
He
weighs
yeah.
a lot. You're throwing around a lot of body weight. Yeah.
Yeah, he
has been. I thought he was going to be a nice
I like
little
Kelvin.
number 2, number 3 wide receiver. I really did. I thought I had high
I
expectations.
thought he was
for
going to
him,
be
too.
doing good things there with Carolina.
Part ways with the waivers.
Before we drop
You're
it.
a Gronkowski owner.
Yes.
Who are you looking to fill in for?
I'm just an amazing GM, and I picked up Greg Olson a couple of weeks before he was healthy, just because I had the room to spare.
I picked up
And,
Tyler Kroft the other week.
Just in case, and now I actually have the first round bye in the playoffs, so actually the suspension won't even really
Matter.
But yeah, no, I think if you are a Gronk owner, I believe it's Martellus Bennett is sort of the cuff. Guys like the receivers get bumps. Amendola, again, Deion Lewis, I think gets a little. Just everybody, I think everybody kind of gets a little bump. I wouldn't necessarily go out and run and start Martellus Bennett, because I think, again, he's pretty spotty, but
Kids adding him right
Tom Brady kind of Tom Brady spreads the wealth. So
another thing I wanted to mention before we signed off for the day or for the evening, we have, I don't know if Kid brought them, but we have how many golf balls are in that pack?
I think it's 24.
We have a pack of Nike.
yeah, it's 4 packs of 4.
4 packs
4
of
sleeves of 4.
It's
four-
8. So
eight-
it might be 32 golf
8
balls.
sleeves
Why don't
of
you tell me
4.
the little,
4.
4 in there?
It's 4
So
fours.
I believe it's 4 and 4. So yeah, 8 times 4.
Yeah.
32 golf
Yeah.
balls.
So we have a Nike Mojo, right? We have a pack of 32 Nike Mojo golf balls that we're going to be giving away. We're not sure how yet, but maybe within the next few weeks we'll
Golf tournament.
Yeah.
we'll let you guys know, and we will whether it's pick a winner or something like that, but we will we'll be giving
We'll
those
figure
away.
out a way. So if you keep watching, if you interact with us on Twitter and stuff like that, it'll definitely make your chances higher of
Yep.
winning a sleeve of golf balls.
Yeah. So other than that, I mean, that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, again, first episode with the new stuff. Still ironing stuff out. Hopefully
Yeah.
things are smooth
I
here.
definitely wasn't flawless tonight.
Hey,
No, it's all right.
It's
It's a
a
learning
working
experience.
project. Hopefully, you guys can come with us and come on this journey with us. But thanks again for stopping by, and look for the disc golf show on Wednesday, and we will be dropping Log on Friday. So
yep. Help
thanks
us
for joining
think of
us.
a disc golf show name. Thank you. Have a good one.
Peace. Later.